So me and Spirit have a relationship where I'm clear on the messages now. I'm crystal clear. And when those messages come through, take it to the camera. Take it to the camera. Why are we doing that? Because I no longer can gatekeep. I no longer can sit in the shadows and allow society to be where they are today. Yeah, I'm one of the little people because I've sat in the middle, I've sat in the back and let the narrative go on for long enough. So now is the time. Okay, excuse my eyes. We all know what time it is and how we get down. Needless to say, it was some good shit. Okay, let's move forward. So, when it comes to the cisgender women versus trans women, I feel like cisgender women, ask yourself, what is it that you feel like you can do about the fact that trans people, regardless of how you feel, they're still getting chose. They're still showing up. They're still lovable, likable, lustable, fuckable, all of these things. And it's like, instead of you being mad at the girls, the ghouls, for coming out and doing them, why not just do you? Why not just do you so much to the point where you can't see what other people got going on? You're not even living your life, but you're so quick to just talk about how others are living, and you just want to just be down and out. Like, I'll never forget, I have a person who I was related to, and we hadn't seen each other in quite some time. And the funny thing is that when you transition, the transition is real. You know what I'm saying? You go from A all the way to Z. Some people make it to D. Some people make it to whatever alphabet that you're at. Okay, that's why it's all about the alphabet, right? Because it's the transition. It's the getting from one place to getting to the next. Nobody wants to stay in between. Needless to say, it's a journey. And that's why you hear it all the time when we talk, is that it is a journey. And you can look at trans people just like alchemists, You turn one thing into something else. People who smoke weed, alchemists. You turn one thing into something else. People who, there's so many different ways to do this, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But let's stay on the culture, okay? So my thing is, you being upset at the fact that someone is being chosen just reflects the fact that you haven't decided to live life. Because if you're living life, one thing I learned about being happy, how that whole saying says, happy hoes ain't hating, it's very true. So therefore, get up and do you. Just get up and do you. Because what's stopping you? What's truly stopping you? Because it's like, it's just too plain Jane to sit back and watch other people live. Oh, so that's what I was talking about, that cousin of mine. So we hadn't seen each other in quite some time, okay? Excuse me for drifting off, but we hadn't seen each other in quite some time. And, being the dynamics of my family and my relationship, I usually only get called like on funerals, or like, we used to do holidays together, or they at least call, or we would at least send each other a text or something like that. But that no longer is, and it hasn't been for quite some time, which I have accepted. I've learned to live with it and move forward. Needless to say, the healing is, you're never done healing, okay? So if I'm sitting here telling you that I'm healed, no, I'm not. Some days look a lot better than others, but I will say that choosing me over my circumstances, or choosing me over the weight that I had been pulling for so long, I dropped the weight. I let the weight go. And that's what you need to know. You need to know that it's safe to let go of that weight that doesn't belong to you, as well as the weight that does, because it's your life. And the sooner that you free your mind, the sooner that you have free time. You have free time to live in the present moment. You're not so stuck in the past. You're not so fixated on who's doing what. You're too focused on you. So to that cisgender woman who chooses to hate a trans woman and she doesn't even know one to begin with, it's not the trans woman that you hate. The trans woman is the reflection of yourself that you have yet to acknowledge. The trans woman, you seeing a trans woman getting up and getting out there, and you see how I kept my eyes closed, and now you see that, because I'm here. I'm her, okay? So understand that, yes, in the eyes you do see the soul, and that's why a lot of people in Hollywood keep their glasses on. Let's be clear. But moving on, Because, you know, I go dips and doodles into these rabbit holes, and I jump leaps and bounds over my karmics and people of that nature that tend to feel like they want to bully. I am anti-bully. I don't like bullies at all. I am team underdog. I am team the person who doesn't know their voice. I am team the person who is having trouble with transition, and, you know, all she needs is a little push, because I was that girl. I was that girl who struggled a lot in my youth due to the fact that I didn't have the resources. You know, I didn't have access to health care. I didn't have resources. I didn't have dental care. I didn't have a lot of different things. But it's like, are those things that really, you know, of course there are things, right? But the thing is to not let that be the verdict, right? Do your research. Try again. Get up. Stop thinking that because it didn't come from the source of which you had been liked it for it to come from, doesn't mean that it's not waiting on you to discover on your own. Stop getting hell-bent on the source and where it comes from, and go to the divine. Go to the number one, the number one. Y'all go to these pastors and expect them to give you the best advice, and these priests and these people of these government corporations, I like to say, because when you look at it, it's all connected. The government put these places in motion so that, you know, they can still keep you divided and conquered. That means that the news is running your life. You really have no discernment. You have no, let's not go there, because we don't know who you are, you know, because if you're here, you're the chosen. Well, we're talking about them, right? So when we're talking about them, those are the them that actually had you fucked up. When we talk about they or you, or however I put it. And needless to say, understand that I am a clear channel. So therefore, a lot of times, being that I consider myself a they at this point in my life, because it's too much over the him, her, they. It's too much over the him, her, she, you know, trans, this. And it's just, you know, you could just call me a they at this point. You know, I'm totally fine with that. I won't lose a damn thing being called a they, okay? Because I know that sometimes I feel a little bit like this. Sometimes I feel a little bit like that. Sometimes I just can't quite figure out how I feel. And I'm okay with that, because, you know, as spirit having a human experience, I like to not be fed in a box. I like to be unchainable. I like to have no bounds to my energy and just be free, you know, like the social butterfly that I am. And that's what your spirit wants. Your spirit wants to be free. Your spirit wants to be able to be that social butterfly and to be light on its energy and to release what no longer serves you, and understand that it's still good people in the world. And no matter what you went through is your lesson. It may be family members who may have taught you the worst, you know. I always hear people say, oh, family fucked me the worst, but you have to come to grips with understanding that this life that we live, it's all lessons to be learned. And that's why I believe that alchemy is the number one, it's the number one way of life. Alchemy is the learning and the lessons of life, and knowing that, okay, I've learned this, so I can't do that again. You know, I just can't do it again. So it's like when we learn things, it's like it's supposed to help you because you learned and you know better. You already got the answers. The thing is that your flesh wants what it wants. Your spirit already knows that in order for me to reach to this next level, I have to put this down. I have to not answer that call. I have to not go down that route. I need to not say with that. You know, it's just certain things. How are you deciding? That's why I'm always talking about, how are you deciding? How are you deciding? It's because life is all about choices. And the choices that I made, I'm happy with the choices that I made. Because you might want to look at it from a rebel's perspective, because it's like people always telling me, you know, oh, but let's go back to the cousin. See, that just shows you that they don't, and look, 919 on here, because see, that's the completion of it, is that this cousin of mine, her not seeing me for my transitional period. She not seeing the transition, you know. They want to say, oh, are your breasts yours? Yes, they are. They're real. And they're mine. Thank you very much. I grew them, you know, and I did what needed to be done. And, you know, I keep up with myself. You know, it's all about showing up for yourself, you know, because in trans people, it's like it's just like with anybody. You know, you put somebody you put somebody in front of you, then, you know, you're attending to them before you can attend to yourself. So it may take for you to release them in order to step into you. because we love to love, right? As much as we might say that we don't love anymore, and you saying that you don't love anymore is only because you realize how you love. You realize that you love hard. You realize that you're tired of being played with. You realize that it's just a lot of things that just don't resonate. But in reality, when you're getting back out there, you have to have discernment. You shall not allow your circumstances to be the verdict. And because I went through this, I'd rather not date again. Because I went through this, I close my heart. You know, because that's what they want, right? People who hurt you, they want to see you fucked up. They want to see you broken. They want to know that they did damage, because usually those people are really damaged. And because damaged people, hurt people, that's just the ruling of the call. It's the domino effect. So you have to learn when to move that domino out the way so that the rest of your foundation can stay. When you know that it's a person that's trying to drag you down and pull you down, say for instance, okay, and we're going back to the cousin. Like I said, I'm a channel, okay, so maybe it's something that don't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it, okay? Because her thing was, okay, so it was a funeral. We did our gathering, and prior to this funeral, it was around Easter, and, you know, I hadn't seen the family in quite some time, and this was the side of the family who actually helped me out. You know, this was the side of the family who actually, you know, used to leave me a little plate, you know, of food and whatnot at that time when I was going through my trials and tribulations with being homeless. You know, with the fact that my mother kicked me out at a very young age. My father was already gone. My grandmother's gone. You know, and for the other majority of my family, they're all Christian. You know, so them with their upbringing, of course, you know, oh, hell no, don't answer the phone. You know, I was fucked up. So, you know, it was me against the world at a young age, you know. So it's like, I don't fault what I went through. Okay. Circling back, this is the 5th time we're doing it at 11:55. Okay, so when I finally rekindled with the family and we came together, it was very much so, oh, I'm going, you know, I had my little EBT card, you know, because, you know, I had an EBT card, and, you know, we like to eat, so therefore, you know, it's the holiday, it's Easter. I'm like, okay, I got some cash, I got some stamps. Go ahead and use my card for the meat, and then y'all do the sides or whatever like that, you know, because it's like, this is my token of appreciation. It's the least that I can do, because y'all already feel like I'm rich because I live in this big city, but which, whatever, you know, people, that's the thing, is that people will always stereotype you and always think something when it's really, you know, it's just the illusion of them that they have of you, when in reality, you could very well be that, or you could very well not. But it's just like, people think very highly of you, so you ought to think highly of yourself as well. But going back to this, so needless to say, the gathering, okay? So I got the meat, everything was everything. And I kind of just stayed away because, you know, being an empath, you feel energy. So I'm sitting in my car, I'm practically just waiting on my plate. I really don't want to talk to nobody because I just feel like, as much as I love y'all, I'm really not the same as who y'all knew me to be. So I really don't feel like the need to answer any questions, because when I lost my brother, when my brother was murdered by that white man, which I have nothing against white people, but I have everything against what I'm against, okay? So let's just say that they felt as if I checked out. They felt as if I lost my mind after I lost my baby brother, which I would possibly had appeared that way. But, you know, from the outside looking in, I mean, from the inside looking out, I was crying out for help. I didn't know how else to tell them that I needed help. I didn't know how to express how fucked up I really was at the fact that I'm falling apart and nobody can seem to tell me anything that I need to hear. Nobody can seem to console me with what I'm dealing with, because I looked around and there was nobody who was going through what I was going through. So then, boom, you know, younger, nobody can resonate with what I'm going through. So then it only initially ran me to the streets, because it's like, what the fuck am I doing around y'all? Okay, well then, if y'all gonna treat me like shit, I might as well go. You push me to the mother. It's like you push me to the woods and watch me come back leading the pack, or however that goes, you know. But needless to say, the streets had taught me a lot in life, and within my lessons, you know, I'll tell you guys a little bit more about me along down the line if you guys interact with my channel and we can get on the same. Look, it was 1444. I really hope that we can really build a collective of healing on this journey, because I want to show you that healing is necessary, because for what I've been through, I was just telling a woman about how my brother was murdered by a white man, and I had a dream about it before it happened, but I tried to warn him and it still wound up happening. She just broke down crying as being an empath. She said, and how do you go back to being good after something like that? How do you go back to trying to work for the light? And I said, because this isn't my first time being here. This is not my first time being here. And because it's not my first time being here, I need to get it right this time. And because I need to get it right this time, you just have to go within. You have to have bald-faced, blind faith. You have to detach from everything that, if you had the idea of it uplifting you or presenting you some form of relief and it only brought you burdens, release it. Because you got to understand that sometimes you got to get away from everything that you know. You got to reprogram your mind. Sometimes getting away from everything that you know gives you the ability to reprogram and reset your nervous system, because it's like sometimes it's the people who you got around you that carry that type of energy, and you don't know that it's really not you that's carrying that. It's the people who are around you. Check in with the people around you. Figure out what their intentions are. Play a fool to catch a fool. Sometimes you have to play dumb. Playing dumb will save your motherfucking life, because people will always tell on themselves. And that's just what you need to know, okay? But needless to say, back to this cousin for the 7th time at 16:27 o'clock. Okay, because we got 16 minutes. Okay, I wanted to keep this short, but I hope you're still here with me, okay? If you're here with me, I want you to put in the chat put in the chat these, okay? If you're still here, please, because I would really greatly appreciate that, because I'm really giving y'all raw, vulnerable material that you'll never see anywhere else. And I'm ready to write my book. I'm ready to do the work, and I'm ready to do these things, but bear with me. Okay, so with this gathering, I just remember coming in the kitchen and I just wanted to fix my plate, and I got this big titty bitch just breathing all down my neck like, And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck is, I'm like, damn, bitch. You breathing all down my motherfucker. Hold on. Who is this? Hello? Hello? Okay. See, this is why I shouldn't answer. But needless to say. Yeah. Monitoring spirits. Okay. But, so the cousins, see, they don't want me to talk about this because they don't want me to expose it. But the facts are, the bitch was so mad and miserable and jaded. I really want to put her picture up here because the bitch don't compare to me at all. And her thing is, I'm the one with the pussy. I'm the one with the pussy. But bitch, you look like a bitch. I don't even want to say what you look like, okay? Because I'm changed, okay? But you ought to know that my father was a sharpshooter in the military. And my mother, she was a sailor, okay? Mama taught me how to curse, okay? So when it comes to this mouth, this tongue, with that Libra rising, that justice is all about that motherfucking sword and letting the bitch have it. So but needless to say, it was some niggas at the house, right? And the niggas who I don't know these guys. You know, I'm thinking these are some neighborhood guys or whatever like that. But because I'm a friendly type of person, I'm very greetable. I'm very, I'm somebody who you will want to get to know, regardless of what's in between my legs, regardless of anything. I'm someone who you will want to get to know. And with that being said, the guys wanted to smoke. Let's see what he says. Yes, hi. What's up? Why you call me private? Hello? Oh, what's up? Why you call me private? I'm gonna call you back. I'm doing the busy right now. I'm done. Okay. Anyways, pressure. Okay. Needless to say, so her with the niggas. So the niggas like, yeah, we gonna roll you up. We gonna smoke. Cause I was trying to find some weed. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Okay, and I'm in the hood with the niggas, and I'm like, hey, so, I ain't got no weed or whatever. Like, all right, cool, no problem. We gonna roll you up. So I'm like, I'm about to make my plate and I'm gonna be out there in a minute. So as I'm making my plate, this bitch is breathing down my neck, and I'm like, damn, bitch, can I make my plate? And she like, bitch, ain't nobody breathing down your neck, bitch. Make your motherfucking plate, bitch. But you putting a lot of food on that plate. I said, yeah, bitch, cause all I'm getting is one plate. Y'all literally keeping all of this. I just literally gave y'all $200 in food stamps, and bitch, that's still not enough. So needless to say, one thing led to another. And This is at the time when I started wearing my real hair and it started growing out and things of that nature. And the bitch was like, and so what? You thinking that you something with your real hair out, bitch? Everybody know you a man. Everybody know you a man. You act like they don't know that you a man. Everybody know you a man. And my thing is, damn, bitch. If they know, they know. But apparently it doesn't appear to be so obvious that the fact that you're literally hell-bent on, get a bullhorn while you're at it, bitch. Go outside, go on 7 Mile, and let it be known. Because, bitch, you're doing me a favor, actually, because I have a hard time with expressing the fact that, yes, that is who the fuck I am. Because I know that it's a treacherous world out there. But in reality, I went through hell and back to the point where I learned that y'all need to hear from trans people of experience who actually, you know, I can come and I can relate. I'm relatable. You know, I'm not about the going back and forth with the fish, women, cisgender women. I'm not into all of that. I'm too much about my money. I'm too much about, you know, my peace. I can give a fuck about how the next person live life, just like I can give a fuck about another person in my... Yes.